From Minnesota reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Hinojosa, the ranking member on the subcommittee on Education Workforce Committee.
The gentleman is recognized for 3 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to oppose H.R. 803, a fatally flawed and highly partisan bill that would weaken our nation's current public workforce training and adult education system at a time when millions of Americans continue to struggle to find good family-sustaining jobs in our nation's economy. Simply put, H.R. 803 would take our nation in the wrong direction, making it more difficult for individuals with barriers to employment to receive the education and training services they need to be on track. The Skills Act repeals and consolidates 35 WIA programs, block granting critical programs that provide invaluable training to adults, youth, veterans, farm workers, dislocated workers, and many others. This fatally flawed bill eliminates the priority of service delivery for low-income adults and out-of-school youth, despite the high levels of unemployment rates for youth of color and low-skilled workers. This fatally flawed legislation strikes state and local board representation for unions, community colleges, and community-based organizations, moving away from some of the key tenets of WIA. It was set up so that 51% of the seats on that board of directors would be represented for the business community, and 49% for those who are not the employers and businesses, but those that I mentioned. And that type of diversity is very necessary, such as collaboration, inclusion, strategic partnerships, the work that needs to be done to improve people's lives. Finally, this fatally flawed bill freezes program funding authorizing for fiscal years 2014 through 2020. And I must underscore that job training and reemployment services for WIA have already been cut 50% since 2001. How can Congress freeze funding for WIA the next 6 years when we have millions of men and women year after year who need training? How can WIA boards do their job if the inflation costs and the increase of operating costs like utilities, wages, insurance of properties, and for health insurance continue to increase? For these reasons, it is no surprise that at least 50 organizations strongly oppose or have concerns about this misguided legislation, including the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National League of Cities, the National Council of La Raza, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, the National Skills Coalition, the Association of Farm Worker Opportunity Programs, the Consortium for Citizens with Disabilities, the Easter Seals, the AFL-CIO, the National Coalition for Literacy, the National Youth Employment, and they go on and on. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to vote against H.R. 803.